Welcome back to Movies in a Nutshell. In this video, we're talking about Victor Frankenstein, a sci-fi horror film released in 2015. A hunchback man performs in a circus. The man is dressed as a clown, and he is treated poorly by the people in the circus. Despite this, the man was the circus company's doctor and developed a fascination for medicine and human anatomy. He watches other circus performers and sketches many anatomical poses and diagrams. One day, one of the circus aerialists, Lorelei, falls during her performance. Luckily, a medical student was watching and went to help her. The hunchback man also rushes to help Lorelei. With the hunchback man's help, the student, Victor Frankenstein, manages to figure out that Lorelei broke a clavicle and dislocated a shoulder. Both injuries are putting pressure on her lungs. Victor says that he doesn't have the tools to help Lorelei, but the hunchback man refuses to give up. He demands Victor's pocket watch, using it to properly reset Lorelei's broken collarbone. The resetting saves Lorelei's life, and Victor is impressed. Victor believes the hunchback is being wasted in the circus and tells him to leave. Before Victor can convince him, though, the circus owner arrives and orders Lorelei to be put on a stretcher. Victor offers to lead them to a nearby hospital. Having overheard the conversation, the circus owner burns all of the hunchback man's books that night. The owner then locked the hunchback in a cage. Fortunately, Victor came back and freed the hunchback clown from his cage. The owner chases the two, but they manage to escape. Victor takes the hunchback man to his laboratory. He examines the hump on the man's back and realizes it's a cyst. Victor drains the cyst against the hunchback's protests and forces the man into a back brace to fix his posture. Victor tells the man that should anyone ask, the former clown is Victor's roommate Igor Strassman. The next morning, Inspector Roderick Turpin and his colleague, Alistair, investigate the scene left behind after Victor and Igor escaped. The story they conclude is that Igor was a dangerous hunchback who escaped, stole from the circus owner, and murdered an innocent man. On the way to search Igor's trailer, Turpin finds a red pouch on the ground and picks it up. Turpin and Alistair then continue to search Igor's trailer and find a sketch of his face, using it for wanted posters with a different sketch of Victor's face. After returning to Scotland Yard, Turpin reveals to Alistair that a man has been stealing different animal parts. He asks Alistair to open the pouch, and inside is the severed paw of a lioness. Turpin concludes that whoever assisted Igor's escape must have been the same man who has been stealing animal limbs. On the same day, Igor wakes up to find that Victor has gone to school. While alone, Igor decides to visit Lorelei in the hospital. He pays a woman to take care of Lorelei. However, when Igor starts walking back home, he finds multiple wanted posters with his and Victor's faces. Igor panics and brings one home. Victor reassures him that the authorities will not find Igor because they are looking for a hunchback man. Victor reveals that he was at the circus to request some of the circus dead animals. He tells Igor that he believes death can be made temporary. Victor then reveals his latest project, human eyes encased in an electrically conductive jelly to preserve and reanimate. Victor succeeds in demonstrating the eye's movement, but Igor points out a flaw in how Victor connected the nerves. Victor is ecstatic and takes Igor on as an assistant. They go on to reanimate many other organs. Weeks go by, and Igor finds that Lorelei has found a benefactor to take care of her. Then Victor invites Igor downtown to a fancy club. At the party, Victor gets into a rowdy explanation with other people while Igor runs into Lorelei. Lorelei takes a while to recognize him, but she greets Igor warmly when she does. It turns out that she's pretending to be the consort of a gay baron. Before they can get any further, Victor interrupts. He rudely jokes with Lorelei, who doesn't seem impressed. After the party, Victor tells Igor that Igor shouldn't see Lorelei again. Igor is confused, but Victor calls her a distraction. He tells Igor that the party was a celebration of their work, and soon Igor is led to a lab and shown a gruesome amalgamation of a chimpanzee. Victor calls the monster Gordon and believes that the monster can be reanimated using Igor and Victor's findings. Igor is skeptical, of course, but Gordon's chest starts moving after a while, and it's obvious he's alive, though unable to fully move. The next day, Victor presents Gordon's reanimation at his school, bringing Igor with him. Igor invites Lorelei to watch. Few people attended, but one of the people was Victor's wealthy classmate Finnegan. When Victor finally starts the presentation, some problems arise, and Victor is zapped by electricity. Finnegan mocks Victor's failure, but Gordon suddenly starts moving. Victor attempts to touch Gordon, but he's immediately hit by a stray bolt of electricity. Gordon escapes his bindings and tries to attack Lorelai. Luckily, no one is harmed, but Gordon runs out of the room. After checking on Lorelai, Igor chases Gordon around the building, managing to corner the monster at a stairwell. Igor almost falls off the railing, but he manages to hold on while Gordon tries to attack him. Victor comes running quickly, pulling both Igor and Victor back to safety. Igor convinces Victor to kill Gordon. After the fight, Victor and Igor retire to a room. They're fighting about how Gordon turned out to be homicidal, but before their argument can continue, Finnegan butts in. He offers to pay Victor to create an intelligent man, just like how he created Gordon. Victor accepts, but Igor is vehemently against recreating something like Gordon. Victor reminds him of what he had done for Igor at the circus, overruling Igor's opinion on the experiments. This reminds Igor of the circus owner, who repeatedly reminded him how Igor belonged to the circus. Turpin arrives at the college to assess the damage Gordon caused. Turpin then takes Alastair to Victor's place the next day, where they confront Victor about his experiment with Gordon. Victor lies about the experiment, and Turpin demands to see records of the fake experiment Victor outlined and even demands the doctor's home be searched. Victor tells Turpin to get a warrant first, and they continue to argue about religion before Turpin and Alastair leave. Later, Igor meets Lorelai for a walk through London's bustling streets. Lorelai expresses her unease with Victor's experiments, claiming that Victor has gone too far. On the other hand, Igor finds it difficult to chastise Victor because he believes the doctor is responsible for everything he has become. Lorelai disagrees, claiming that he has always been kind and brilliant. Before Igor can agree to speak with Victor, Lorelai leaves. Igor practices chastising Victor in front of the door to Victor's house, rephrasing the words Lorelai told him on their walk. Before Igor can go in, Victor's father walks up to him. Igor lets Mr. Frankenstein in, demanding Igor leave him with Victor, but Igor only hides to eavesdrop. Mr. Frankenstein informs Victor that his school's board of directors intends to expel him. Mr. Frankenstein calls Victor a shame on their family, and that Victor should have been more like his brother, Henry Frankenstein. After overhearing the argument, Igor decides to discard talking to Victor about Lorelai's concerns and distract him by asking about the sketch on the floor. Victor calls the sketch the modern Prometheus, but Igor points out some flaws in the design. Igor says the sketches are too small for the amount of charge they plan to use, and the two need to construct a large human. Victor's eagerness returns, and they start thinking of changes to make to Prometheus, like 2 sets of lungs and 2 hearts. Victor proposes to use an early version of his machine to reanimate Prometheus. They start redesigning Prometheus to be bigger and more capable of holding as much electric charge as they need. On the other hand, Alastair informs Turpin that they've been denied a warrant to search Victor's house. Turpin is furious and wonders why, but Alastair is quick to say that they had no evidence to support the need for a warrant. Despite this, Turpin is determined to find out what Victor is hiding. Victor plans to begin Prometheus construction that night, but Igor tells him that Lorelai invited Igor to a ball. Victor lets Igor go, saying he deserved it, and Victor builds Prometheus independently. Igor goes to the dance with Lorelai, and they finish the night intimately. As Igor walks back to Victor's house the next day, he finds a couple of policemen pushing bystanders away. Turpin is there, glaring at the smoke curling up from the roof, while more policemen try to break down Victor's door. Igor tells Victor that they have to leave, and Victor replies that he's already called for Finnegan's carriage, but Victor doesn't want to leave before destroying his machines first. After finishing that, Victor leads Igor to a trapdoor so they can escape. However, Igor finds an eyeless body frozen near the trapdoor. He finds out this is the former Igor Strassman, but Turpin finds them before he can continue to confront Victor. Turpin points a gun at Victor and Igor, but Victor pushes Turpin's hand in between a giant gear. Victor and Igor escape through the trapdoor, and then run through a tunnel to the carriage Finnegan provided. Turpin stumbles out of the house, missing his hand, just in time to see Victor and Igor enter a carriage with Finnegan's family crest etched into the side. When Victor and Igor arrive at Finnegan's place, Finnegan offers a castle in Scotland where Victor and Igor can hide and continue their experiment. However, Igor is still hung up on the frozen corpse of the previous Igor Strassman. Victor doesn't have time to talk and offers to continue to discuss it in the carriage to Finnegan's castle. Igor refuses to go, and Victor is quick to insult him, saying that Victor created him and Igor wouldn't get far on his own. Victor leaves without Igor, and Igor is left in Finnegan's mansion. Finnegan tells Igor that he plans to take control of Victor's technology and orders for Igor to be tied up and thrown into a river. Luckily, Igor manages to untie his legs and swim to the surface, taking refuge with Lorelei while he heals. Weeks later, Turpin has a new wooden hand. He tells his boss that the real Igor Strassman was the frozen body, and the former hunchback is the young man pretending to be Igor. However, Turpin is stopped by his boss. It turns out Turpin is being replaced by Alistair and being forced on a medical and mental reprieve. Turpin is understandably furious and walks out of his boss' office. On the other hand, Igor is in Lorelei's bed. He hasn't left it in weeks, and he's clutching Victor's pocket watch. He remembers a story Victor told him as they were designing Prometheus about how Victor and the first owner of the pocket watch loved to play in the snow. Unfortunately, Victor and the other person were engulfed by a blizzard, and the person died. Igor tried to ask Victor who the person was, but he never got an answer. Until now, when Igor opens the pocket watch in Lorelei's bed, Igor finds the full name of Victor's brother, Henry Frankenstein. Igor decides to travel to Scotland because Victor is his friend, and Lorelei insists on accompanying him. Igor and Lorelei are greeted by an army of guards when they arrive at Finnegan's remote castle. Lorelei draws their attention away, allowing Igor to slip past the guards. Turpin appears out of nowhere as Lorelei tries to flee. Despite being on forced leave, Turpin is still determined to stop Victor's work. Inside the castle, Victor and Finnegan are preparing for Prometheus reanimation with the help of many other scientists. A giant body is in a cage, attached to electrical wires as a lightning storm brews. Victor is happy to see Igor again, but dismisses him when Igor tries to stop Victor. Turpin also manages to sneak into the castle just to witness the body being struck by lightning. Prometheus' chest rises, and he starts to move his hand. The scientists are thrilled, but more lightning strikes, exploding the machines and killing Finnegan. Turpin walks up to Victor, drawing a gun on him. However, they become distracted when they notice Prometheus' cage is empty. Turpin calls what Victor did a work of Satan, but Victor declares that there is no such thing as a Satan or a god. Only man exists. Before they can continue, though, they are startled to see Prometheus standing across the tower. Victor runs over to Prometheus and tries to command the creature. Despite multiple tries, Prometheus moves slowly and does not react. Victor is distraught, but Turpin shoots Prometheus. The monster becomes enraged and attacks Victor. Turpin doesn't stop shooting at Prometheus, and the monster kills him. Igor enters the fray and uses a spike to stab Prometheus in the heart, but Victor is reminded that Prometheus has two hearts. Before Igor can do anything, Prometheus throws Igor away, and he falls unconscious. Prometheus goes after Victor next, but Victor manages to stab Prometheus through his second heart. The next morning, Igor wakes up to the wreckage of the tower. Prometheus is dead and Victor is missing. Lorelei finds Igor and hands him a letter from Victor. In the letter, Victor assumes that Igor has had enough of him and apologizes for being cruel. Before concluding the letter, he calls Igor his finest creation and promises to meet again. Lorelei and Igor embrace while Victor embarks on a new adventure somewhere in the countryside. That's all, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more movies in a nutshell.